And also just a reminder to speak of you too. So we can do the chanting straight away. I hope everybody is well and happy and trying to have a calm mind as much as possible. Remember, the more that we maintain a calm mind, the more we create the habit of doing so naturally eventually. Okay, familiarity, is very important in our practice of purifying the mind. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sammasambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sammasambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sammasambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Dudayambi Buddham saranam gacchami. Dudayambi Dhammam saranam gacchami. Dudayambi Sangham saranam gacchami. Tatayambi Buddham saranam gacchami. Tatayambi Dhammam saranam gacchami. Tatayambi Sangham saranam gacchami. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they never be parted from their happiness beyond suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment to the near, and aversion from the far. I shall cause this. Great compassionate Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every types of offerings, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all of my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in all the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for all sentient beings. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. However innumerable all sentient beings are, I vow to save them all. However inexhaustible my delusions are, I vow to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are, I vow to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is, I vow to follow it completely. Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum. Tayata Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha. Tayata Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha. Tayata Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha. So now we can do a short meditation or short meditations. Initially, we should release the tension from the body. Helps to bring your mind inside the body as well as helping you to relax physically. starting at the tips of the toes, slowly all the way up to the shoulders, down to the tips of the fingers, and then back up to the crown of your head. So now just spend a short amount of time doing this, closing your eyes gently, lips touching gently, breathing in and out of your nose. If you find it hard to release the tension, it can be quite helpful to release it on the out breath. Maybe take a deep breath in and then a long out breath, releasing the tension. And when you are ready, now bring your focus to your breathing. Breathing in your nose, all the way into your lungs, and then out from your lungs, out your nose again. That's all you have to do right now, is focus on the breathing. If your mind becomes agitated, overthinking, or having emotions arise, then let them go naturally. Don't cling to them or grasp at them. Don't try to forcefully push them away either or deny them. By applying the antidote of refocusing the mind, let them go. And if your mind becomes dull, wake it up a little bit by focusing on your mind more brightly. Trust in the methods or the method, and also trust in yourself to be able to put this into practice. Remember, I started the class today by saying familiarity is really important. We become familiar with the practice, practicing the method. And the more we become familiar with this, the more it becomes natural to do so. And eventually we can spontaneously focus on the breath. So now we can practice like this in silence for a few minutes. So now you can feel very pleased with yourself and fill yourself with universal loving kindness. Universal loving kindness is not only a perfect theme for meditation, it's also a cause of healing. Of course, of bringing unity within your own mind as well as all other living beings. It is the remedy for hatred, for anger, fill yourself with so much loving kindness now that it overflows and radiates outwards initially to your loved ones, family, and friends. And further to now also include strangers. And even those you may find difficult, you may even regard as enemies. I mean, all of these three types of people, from our own perspective, may they all have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they be peaceful. And now likewise with other living beings, all the living beings around your immediate area. And throughout your whole state or county. All the living beings, the tiny ones and the very large ones, all the way up to them as well. The ones that live on the earth, in the waters, fly through the air. Now radiate this love and kindness throughout your whole country. May love and kindness be everywhere. May there be happiness everywhere. May there be peace. And throughout other worlds, or throughout other countries, I should say, throughout the whole world. And throughout the whole solar system. Have your loving kindness radiate out further and further, expanding to eventually become infinite throughout the whole galaxy and the universe, throughout infinite space. We are all interconnected. You could say by loving kindness, by our true potential, our Buddha nature. By compassion and wisdom. So at the same time, be present here and now, and we will recite the dedication prayer. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of the Buddha, so that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious Bodhicitta, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. And may the precious view of Shunyata, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. So we will continue our discussion, the commentary on the 6 perfections of generosity, morality, patience, effort, concentration, and wisdom. as mentioned, we have gone through the first one, the generosity, and the three aspects, main aspects related to generosity. And last week we started on morality, which we can also call discipline. So last week we spoke about the discipline of avoiding negative actions or non-virtuous actions of our body, speech, and mind. And today we'll talk about the discipline of generating virtuous actions of our body, speech, and mind. Once again, we've gone through these things in other classes, especially when we were doing the Eightfold Path, when we were talking about the right actions, right speech, right intentions, and so forth. So you should be quite familiar with them. And so today's class may be a reminder for some of you. I'll try to introduce some new thoughts as well. And the difference, the big difference to the commentary now, to the subject now, compared to then, is that we have the bodhicitta intention, this altruistic intention, the great compassion, you could say, is added. And so this is very important to know that, okay? Because remember that practicing and eventually developing these perfections, the first 5 of them relate to the relative bodhicitta. Once again, you can say that as altruistic intention, or even as simple as the great compassion. And then, of course, the ultimate bodhicitta is the 6th paramita, when it makes the other ones perfect, to put it simply, okay? So we're here to develop and practice and develop this great bodhicitta, this great mind of compassion, okay? So, so the discipline is not just, or the morality is not just avoiding negative actions. It's not just generating the virtuous, the positive actions, but also in benefiting others. Okay, not causing harm for others, but bringing benefit to others. And we'll talk about that next week in more detail. Okay, so I've got a few notes that I wrote myself. We are diligent in the cultivation of merit. We're working to create vast sources of goodness for now, but also for the future. Because remember cause and effect, the law of karma. We're within the law of karma right now. We haven't freed ourselves from the law of karma, from the cycle of existence. We haven't realized our true potential yet. So we need now to, you could say, it's almost like undoing the negativities by developing and cultivating vast amounts of merit, vast amounts of goodness for now and into the future. And the more we do this, the more we become familiar with it, the more it will become a habit. And like I said earlier, with the meditation practice, the more it will become spontaneous for us to act like this, think like this, speak like this, okay? So, so not just for now, but also into the future, okay? Even though the future never comes, you could say. Actually, what is regarded as future, when it arrives, it becomes the present, doesn't it? So if you think about that, the 3 times, the past, the present, and the future. Past is gone, the present is fleeting. So it's interesting, we can't think of the present as something substantial. It's also empty of its self-identity or existence. Actually, those 3 times are all dependent upon each other to even be a concept or concepts. Without the concept of the future, why talk about the present? Without the concept of the past, there's no future, there's no present. They're all dependent, interdependent upon each other. Okay, but we work now in the present, and also knowing that the future will arrive as that present moment. Okay, I hope I'm not making it sound like riddles. Okay, but it's true what I'm saying. So, all right, the next one is we should be vigilant and mindful in all our daily and nightly actions of the body, speech, and mind. So when we're awake, we should be mindful and also, really vigilant, and just always checking our mind for our intentions, always regulating our words, to be of benefit, and also regulating our physical actions to be of benefit to ourselves initially, of course, and then, of course, those around us, and then all living beings from an intention point of view. So we need to really be mindful, aware in our practice, and constantly checking our mind for the intention and motivation behind our speech and our physical actions. And in the nighttime too. So we practice in the daytime while we're awake. And this helps us create the habit of having a virtuous mind, thoughts, and so forth while we're sleeping. And then we can continue to create the vast amounts of merits even in our sleep. But of course, as living beings, we're normally awake for, somewhere between, maybe 18 hours and maybe 20 or 14 hours, 14 and 18 hours a day, depending on how much we sleep and how well we sleep. And so during this time, we have the opportunity to really make ourselves familiar with the practice, so that we can take this into while we are sleeping as well. And I just remind you that I'm resharing the videos again from the beginning. Just started the week before last, and I'll do that like 2 a week. And so you can revisit those and review those teachings. And coming up towards maybe in a month or so, the 51 derivative mental factors, which we're talking about these different states of mind, such as sleep and such as the awake state, things like this. Okay, so you can have a review of these things. And as you do that, I guarantee that you're going to understand them more. It'll be like little bells going off in your head. It's like reading a Dharma book again, reading a sutra again. After you've practiced for a while, after you've cleaned your mind, you could say, just a little bit more, a little bit more. And then the next time you listen to the teachings or you study the teachings, and the more that you will understand. It's like opening a door, more and more and more and more. Okay. Then we should also always dedicate our merits. So there's this goodness that we've cultivated and even radiated outwards. We should dedicate all of these merits to all living beings. We say all living beings, maybe another way to put that is to every single living being, even though we don't know them. Think about that. When we think of all living beings, maybe this is kind of like a pile of something. Maybe we think even of one like that. Of course, we start with our loved ones, don't we? We start maybe with our mom, our dad, and siblings and so forth, our children, and then radiate this outwards to all living beings, because all living beings have been our mom and our dad and our siblings and our children in previous lifetimes. Okay, so when we do this, we should also think, okay, every single living being. This will allow us to be disciplined in engaging in good actions related to those living beings in front of us right now. We won't neglect thinking about them. Because sometimes I think if we have this big, vast idea of all living beings, maybe we forget the one that's in front of you right now. So bring that to your mind, okay? In fact, who's the one in front of you right now? That's yourself, actually. This is the initial one, isn't it? So don't forget to dedicate your merits for your own well-being as well. For, towards the happiness of yourself and others, towards the freedom from suffering, towards the peace, and also towards realizing our true nature, our true potential of enlightenment. Okay, the dedication. Think about this. If you dedicate your merits to only one person, then that's kind of small, isn't it? But the more you make it vast amounts of living beings, and eventually all living beings, the more the merit multiplies. So it's not like if you give your merit away, oh no, I've just given away my last $20. It's not like that. Actually, the more you give away that $20, to use that metaphor, the more your money gathers interest. So it's like the more you give away your merit, the more merit that you're cultivating, the more merit you're creating. And try to do this, even though at the moment we have this sense of self. Yes, I'm the one dedicating the merit to the others type of thing. But actually try to do it as much as possible without this thought of self even. Okay, because this merit is essential on a Dharma path, that we create this goodness, this virtue, and eventually it marries, with the wisdom, unifies with the wisdom, and then they become perfect eventually. Okay. The next point, where am I up to here? Become more familiar with the Bodhisattva vows. Okay, now you can enumerate the Bodhisattva vows either as, depending on what tradition, there's 16 in a Sangha tradition, there's 48 in the Nagarjuna tradition. So there's a Mahayana traditions. Okay, I won't go into detail on the history of these traditions, but I mentioned the masters there, okay, from the past, Master Sangha, who, by the way, is the brother, I think older brother of Master Vasubandhu, who composed the Abhidhamma Kosha, that we utilized his teachings in the sense for me to give commentary on the 51 derivative mental factors that I mentioned before. And then also Master Nagarjuna from India. They're both from India. The Sangha is very instrumental in the mind-only school and so forth. And the middle way school comes from Nagarjuna and Nalanda University in India. Okay, so that's just a little bit of info. Just so the reason I give you that info, just a little bit more than I was going to, is if you want to look it up on the internet or in books, okay, that you can do your own research to find out a little bit more about that. This information from the past like that, the history, you could say, of Buddhism like that, will help us to develop more confidence in the teachings, in the methods, and in ourselves to practice. It's not just like we made it up 10 years ago. This goes back now for, more than 2,600 years. So we should be able to gather some confidence from knowing some of this past. But don't just study that. You've got to practice, okay? Otherwise, it's just like filling your mind with really good information, okay? So, but not utilizing that information really, okay? In fact, I'm going to digress slightly. There's a Zen teaching, okay? And a master was visited. It relates to what I just said. He was visited by a scholar. Let's say at the moment a Buddhist scholar. I'm not sure what type of scholar actually, but a scholar, really, a very intelligent man. And he came to the master, who was having a cup of tea. Very excellent master. And the scholar said, "Master, I would like you to teach me about meditation." And the master said, "Would you like a cup of tea?" And the scholar said, "Yes, please." So the master went through the very slow process. I think this was in Japan. So, the tea ceremony, long history, takes a long time, get it right. Anyway, he eventually started to pour the tea into the scholar's cup, but didn't stop pouring. And the tea overflowed out of the cup, all over the table, onto the floor. And then I think maybe the scholar may have thought the master was a bit crazy. And he said, "Master, it's enough, it's full." And then the master said, "This is just like your mind, full of information. Now empty your cup, empty your mind, and then I can teach you." So it's good in this sense, okay? That teaching has more a deeper meaning as well. But for the use of today, and I thought about that because I was saying, don't just fill your mind, even with the Dharma teachings and the methods to be practiced, or in this case, the history of Buddhism. Don't just fill your mind with it without utilizing this information to help your practice, to develop more confidence in your practice, to be more moral in related to the subject right now, to be more disciplined in generating these virtuous actions of our body, speech, and mind. Okay. So become more familiar with Bodhisattva vows. So there's 48, or there's 16, or sometimes you can put them together in 64. Okay, and then you could say there's more as well, because you could relate to the tantric samaya vows as well, which there are many, many more. But in this case, today, and related to our chanting that we do prior to the class, we have 4 bodhisattva vows, of which all of the other ones can fit into. You know, so let's just focus on those. Try to make yourself more familiar with these vows. However innumerable all sentient beings are, I vow to save them all. However inexhaustible my delusions are, I vow to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are, I vow to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is, I vow to follow it completely. So the first one, we want to bring benefit to all living beings. We want to do the best we can to help living beings attain enlightenment. You know, initially to help them give up suffering and to develop happiness, for them to practice well, you know, be a good example for that, for them, and eventually attain enlightenment. This is a vow we want to do. We're going to do this, you know, even though we know that we're imperfect right now. We know we're very limited right now, but develop this intention, have this vow, have this aspiration. Then also, however inexhaustible our delusions are, we vow to extinguish them all. So we ourselves will practice. We will purify our minds and attain enlightenment ourselves as well. In fact, those first 2, obviously, they're all 4 of them are totally related, interrelated. But the first 2, you can see benefit others, benefit self. Okay, so same thing. Okay, to benefit others, you must benefit yourself. To benefit yourself, you must benefit others. So inexhaustible. Our mental afflictions appear to be inexhaustible. You know, how can we do that? That actually comes back to the root, doesn't it? The ignorance, the attachment, the aversion, all of the other mental afflictions come from that. Comes from those 3 poisons. Okay, so if we uproot the ignorance, then of course attachment and aversion don't arise. So that's why we need the wisdom. But to develop the mind that is ripe to have this wisdom, this supreme wisdom, we must create or cultivate vast amounts of merits. So that's the other 2 bodhisattva vows is basically the third one is to practice the Dharma and learn all of the Dharma methods for yourself. You choose one maybe for yourself to practice, but you learn eventually all the others, every part of the Dharma, so that you can benefit others along the way. The better we get on the bodhisattva path, you know, the more that we can benefit more living beings. And so living beings are all different. So some living beings may be more suitable for certain types of methods or certain types of Dharma practices. Okay, so we learn all of the Dharma. Now, we can't do that right now. We have a limited mind right now, limited ability, but this is our aspiration. This is our vow. This is our intention. And then, of course, the last line, however endless the Buddha's way is, about to follow it completely. So totally realize the Buddhahood ourselves. Okay, we vow to do this and really be strong and resolute and initially become more familiar with these vows and then put them into practice. The more we fall off the vows, we can laugh at ourselves a little bit and then go back onto the vows, okay? Utilizing along the way the purification methods that we practice, okay? Having the regret, having the resolve not to repeat towards a virtuous action, and really practice the best of your ability. How much do we have to go? A little over 3 minutes, so I think we should finish this one today. Then keep the precepts with mindfulness, awareness, conscientiousness. So with mindfulness, you keep the precepts, you know, you don't destroy lives, you know, tell the truth, you know, save lives if you can, by the way. The first one that relates to the body, of the 10 virtues, by the way. You can revisit last week's class for the 10 mountain virtues, and the 10 virtues are the opposites They're the virtues, not the non-virtues. So, obviously to respect life and protect life of yourself and all other living beings. And then to tell the truth, not to tell it, sorry, that's the wrong one. To be generous and giving rather than stealing, to engage in meaningful and caring relationships with others, especially on a central level, if we engage in these actions. And then, of course, the speech that relates to that, tell the truth, and then to speak to unite people, speak skillfully and sweetly, and speak with good meaning, have a mind that is non-attached, the opposite of a desirous mind or a covetous mind, have good intentions, especially the bodhicitta intention, work on that, and rather than having ill will or harmful intentions, and we really work to have the right view of things, to perceive things as they really are. Right now we have the relative existence. Everything is impermanent, is unsatisfactory, and has no self. And nirvana is freedom from this, and eventually, along the way, our minds will open up more and more, our understanding will become deeper and deeper until eventually we attain this enlightenment ourselves. And so eventually be able to maintain constant stream of positive actions with great strength and joy. The more we become familiar, it will eventually become spontaneous to practice like this. And we should continue this, and we will continue this into future lives. We practice now, and then, even if we don't attain enlightenment at the end of this lifetime, it would be lovely if we did. But continue until we realize the perfection. In this case, the perfection of discipline, and in this aspect, the discipline of cultivating virtue. Okay. So I will repeat that again, because I know we're just about finished. We will eventually be able to maintain a constant stream of positive actions of our body, speech, and mind with great strength, great mental strength, and joy in our practice. Because we become more familiar, we see the good results of the practice and good possibilities. We can become spontaneous eventually, and then continue. So practice well. I hope you've enjoyed today's class. I look forward to next week. I rejoice in your goodness always. And, look after